Welcome to AM Muscle Maintenance with In Shape Fitness. I am Coach Kim, and thank you so much for joining me for today's podcast. It's called Combination Moves That Will Move You. Magic wands and silver bullets don't exist when they come to your health. We're always looking for the magic wands and the silver bullets, aren't we? But there just aren't any when it comes to your health. You have to take action every single day, and you have to support your own body's needs. And the best way to do that, at least in terms of movement, is to start every single day with 15 to 20 minutes of stimulating moving around. Now, if you listen to the podcasts that I do all the time, you know that I'm pretty easy on you in terms of just standing in a place in your living room floor in your pajamas. I do it in my pajamas every morning, where you take deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. That's one significant first step in stimulating your body. And then where you perform what we call a postural systems check, where you just think about where your body parts are in space, particularly your head, the placement of your the arms, your shoulders, and the position of your spine, and then your hips and your feet. So the postural systems check, that's again, very little movement. All you got to do is think about your body parts, and you're activating the sort of support ancillary muscles. And by focusing on them and thinking about them, you're contracting isometrically some of the muscles that require oxygenated blood, and that in and of itself is a boost of your metabolism. But today, the movements that we're talking about are small series of compound movements. They're equipment free, always equipment free with our workouts here on the podcasts. And they are compound movements, which means that you're going to utilize more than one body part, more than one muscle group in multiple dimensions to give you the most bang for your buck. And it is going to be about 20 minutes. All of the work, by the way, that we're doing is on the floor today, with the exception of the meditative breathing here at the beginning, as well as the postural systems check, which hopefully you're already starting. But we are going onto the floor in 4 main, really well-known positions. That's it. So all you have to really know how to do today are basic plank on your elbows. And if you do your planks on your knees versus your toes, that's fine. Downward facing dog, and then hip bridge, and the tabletop. So everything that we're going to do involves movement, starting from those 4 really basic positions. And again, we're not looking here to, provide that metabolic boost that you get from a boot camp, or shred your abs, or sculpt your shoulders or your butt, get you ready for the bikini season and have you lose 20 pounds in a month or whatever. We're talking about sustainable, long-term, functional activity for you to adopt as a habit every single day. And these are some of my favorites, and I do it every single day. Now, I always start with the first of the 5 Tibetans. I find this to be the most exciting part of my very, very otherwise dreary life. Doing the volunteer work that I do. Of course, I have very exciting times with my clients when I'm especially out running and training people for marathons and other long distance runs. But I do a lot of work with the public school system in New York City, and a lot of that is sitting in meetings and reading boring documents about policy initiatives and things that relate to public schools. So when I get up in the morning and I spin around 21 times, and I literally do this every single day, it's the first of the 5 Tibetans, and it activates your vestibular system. It truly is one of the most exciting and entertaining components of my morning. So don't try that today, but it is worth noting that it is a true activator of the inner ear equilibrium that maintains, that governs your body's ability to balance and to be aware. So we're going to do the postural systems check now. You're taking a couple of deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then you're thinking about your body parts. That's all the postural systems check is. If you're standing at this point, even if you're sitting, but hopefully you're standing, you want to make sure that your brain and your body have connected in terms of where your head is in its position on top of your neck and therefore your shoulders. The head is heavy. It weighs 10 pounds roughly, and that's hard for people to even think, to even carry in their hands. But your head is literally sitting at the top of your body's mechanics on a regular basis. And so what happens if you crane your neck forward by staring at a screen, or you're constantly looking down at a device, or maybe you're peering over a steering wheel looking out of a car, that pull on the back of your neck and the collapse of the front of your neck are deviations from your neutral posture and from the efficiency of your body's operations, both respiratory wise and your digestion and your center of gravity, which from a movement perspective is what we're talking about here. You want to make sure that your ears and your shoulders line up. So get your head back and then push your shoulders back, and then zip up your tummy muscles and make sure that your tailbone is tucked in a little bit, because the other thing that happens to human beings these days is, because we sit all day, our pelvis tilts forward. And when your pelvis is tilted forward, you're contracting the lower back muscles a little bit and then pulling on the hip flexors when you're standing up. So that lordosis is what it's called, with your butt sticking out the back, is a pull on your hip flexors. It affects, again, your center of gravity and the way that you move your body, your gait. Then the last thing is the placement of your feet. You want to make sure that your feet are straight, that your toes and heels line up, instead of turning your toes out, which is something people tend to do because they lack balance. And we're talking about lots of really basic, sort of primitive things that you can be doing every day. But this, just thinking about the placement of your feet and focusing on contracting all the small muscles that keep your body standing upright, is going to make a difference in the long term. So let's go from this position here. Now we're getting down on the floor, and we are going to get into a standard plank. So all of the little sequences that we're going to do here are going to involve a couple of exercises that move you from the basic starting point position to variations and to activate different muscle groups in conjunction with the first position. So with plank, with the first position of plank, what you do, right? If you're in your plank position, you're on your elbows, your forearms. Now, splay your fingers, open up your hands, don't make fists. And splay your fingers, and then watch or pay attention to the fact that your shoulders and your elbows should line up vertically. And then you walk your feet out into the plank position. Again, if you need to drop to your knees, all you want to do is gently put your knees down, and actually you're resting your body on the bottom of the quad, the bottom of your thigh muscle. You don't want to be on the knee bone, because that would force your butt to stick up a little bit. And the main point of the plank is for you to contract the automatic contraction, isometric contraction of the muscle layers in your trunk. If your butt is sticking up, that automatic contraction doesn't take place. So you want to keep your butt down, and you should feel this pretty quickly. So if you're breathing deeply, in through your nose again, exhaling through your mouth then, and you're in plank position, hold it for a couple seconds, and then let's talk through the variations that we're going to do, and then we'll try it for about a minute before we move on to the second position. So what you want to do from plank, there are lots of things you can do from plank. In fact, our database of exercises has dozens upon dozens of variations from this basic position. And they involve things like lifting up your butt, lowering your butt. Try a couple of these with me right now. You lift up your butt, lower your butt down. And you can corkscrew one side of your hips down and then the other. You can move your feet a little bit out to the side maybe, or bring the knee in towards the elbow. You can punch forward like you're doing like a boxing class and lift up one arm and then... All right, the thing that I like to do in terms of variations on the theme of combination moves for some fluidity and just keeping your body moving is to start with what I call a mountain hiker. So this is where you're in the plank position, and then you bring one knee forward towards the elbow so right knee to the right elbow, left knee to the left elbow. And you take about 10 seconds to move one leg and then the other. One leg and then the other. And just breathe, keep it going, pause. Now, turn to your side completely. Lift the left arm up off the floor, turn towards the left. Your left leg stacks on top of your right leg, whether it's toes or knees. And now you're in a side plank. So you should feel the right obliques, the right side of your body contracting slightly more. Now, take the left leg and lift the left leg straight up, but don't turn your toes up. Keep your foot flat. Lift the leg up and down 3 times. And keep pausing. Now bring the left knee in towards the left side of your body, in towards your chest, and then straighten the left leg back out 3 times. And now let your body go back to the standard plank. Hold for a second. Now do those mountain hikers again. And we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And now you're going to turn towards the right. So you're going to lift the right side, the right arm, and then the right leg up off the side, off of the floor. Turn to the side onto the plank on the side where the left obliques are activated. You're going to hold this for a couple seconds. And then you're going to extend the right leg straight out. Lift up the straight leg without turning your toes up. Keep the foot flat. Up for 3. And then bring the knee back in towards the chest for a count of 3 as well, and then turn back to the center. So that is the sequence for our plank position. Really easy, but it incorporates all of your body. So you're activating your heart rate and your diaphragm by virtue of the movement in this position. Go back. Let's go for another 30 seconds. Let's see if we can do this whole cycle one more time. So you're holding a plank facing the floor, and now you are bringing the left knee to the left elbow. 1, right knee to right elbow. 2, left. 3, right. 4, 5, and 6. Now turn to the left. Lift up the left arm and the left leg, turning into a left side plank where the right obliques are activated, and you lift up the left leg, straight left leg, lifting up for a count of 3. Lowering back down, bringing the left knee in towards the chest for a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Now turn and face the floor again. Let's do those mountain hikers one more time. 1, left, 2, right, 3, left, 4, right, 5, and 6. Now turn to the right, into the right side plank where the left obliques are activated. And again, straighten out the right leg. Laterally lift the leg up for a count of 3. And then bring the right knee in towards the chest for a count of 3. Okay, so that is the first combination move. It's plank to side plank, back to plank, back to side plank with those little bells and whistles in the side planks as we move from the position. So now we're in downward facing dog. If you want to take a couple of seconds in child's pose and breathe, shake out your shoulders a little bit, and then take a couple of deep breaths. Now we're going to go up into downward facing dog. Downward facing dog is an excellent position for everyone because the back of the body gets stretched out, particularly your calf muscles, which are sadly dormant most of your day if you sit most of your day, along with everything else, right? The butt, the back, the body is just a really sad place, sad state of affairs when you have a desk job. So downward facing dog helps stretch all of that out. Plus it supports shoulder strength and it helps you maintain some upper body stimulation because you're forced to put your hands down and lift your body up. Now, I know it's hard. It can be very difficult for clients that I work with, but try it. And then if you need to go back down to your elbows in downward facing dog, that is also okay. All right. Now what I want you to do is to lower into an upward facing dog where you are letting your hips drop almost to the floor and you're contracting your lower back and lifting your chest high. And then go back to downward facing dog. And then go to upward facing dog and go back to downward facing dog. And then pause in downward facing dog. So that part of it we call the dynamic dog. So we go from the downward facing dog to the dynamic dog. Now we're going to change the name of it for a second so that I can describe this, because we call this position, down dog position, also pike. And we're going to go into something we call a pike sit through, where you are in downward dog or the pike position. Now you take your left foot, you lift the left foot up off of the floor, and then you reach it through the space between your right hand and your right foot, out the right side of your body. It can touch the floor, or if you want to keep it in the air, that's fine as well. Then you just bring it back to the starting position, to downward dog or pike. And then you repeat that. And we'll just use the factor of 3 for the rest of the duration here, since we want to keep things consistent. Do 3 of those stepping touch marks or push through, sit through moves with the left foot, and then repeat on the other side with the right foot. So again, these are called pike sit-throughs. You could call it a downward dog sit-through, but it just extends the right leg, lifts up, and then extends through the left side of the body. And then same with the left foot. And we're doing 3 on each side. So we did the dynamic dog, then we did 3 sit-throughs on each side. The last thing that I want us to do is something called a donkey kick. A monkey jump. I get those confused sometimes. I have these funny names for exercises. And if you've been listening to my podcasts over the years, you know that I talk a lot about this almost 91-year-old client that I work with in Manhattan every single day during the weeks when he's here in New York. And we rename exercises all the time because he doesn't like sort of standard muscle-based and technical names for things. So like child's pose, for example, he thinks it's a ridiculous name for child's pose, so we actually call that pose the hedgehog. There are a whole bunch of different things that we've done together, and the donkey kick and the monkey jump are a couple of the exercises that he doesn't really do because he's 90. But if you're in downward dog, the monkey jump is where you lift both feet up off of the floor at the same time, and then put your feet back down. It's sort of like a hop out of downward dog with your feet, but you keep your hands on the floor. All right. And that's a little harder. If you can't do it, it's okay. But again, do 3. So let's go through this one more time, and then we're going to move to the third position. And I want to get you out of here. I want to finish the podcast by 25 minutes. So I want to make sure we get through this one more time. Let's go start in downward facing dog or pike position. And then we're going to go into the dynamic dog, where you drop the hips, straightening the legs underneath your torso, contracting your lower back, and then back to down dog. And then a second time, back up to down dog, and a third time, back to down dog. And then we're going to do the sit-throughs. 3 with the left foot. Lift the left foot up off the floor and extend the leg towards the right side of the body through the right foot and right hand, and that 3 times, and then repeat that with the right foot in the left side direction. And then lastly, let's do 3 more monkey jumps. Excellent work. Okay, now what I want you to do is lie down on your back. So turn over and bend your knees. Put your feet on the floor, lift your hips up into the air, and this is hip bridge position. Now, very important position, especially for people who are desk based during the day. Because again, your hips, your butt, all of your lower trunk area and upper trunk too, but definitely your lower trunk area in terms of this position is deactivated, is dormant in the seated position. So lying down on the floor and getting your body up into hip bridge helps you elongate your hip flexors and activate your butt muscles and open up your chest a little bit so that you can breathe and that your body is sort of combating the manifestations of our deviated posture in the seated position. So hip bridge by itself is super important. The first thing that we're going to do is just 3 dips, which are really basic. You lower the body, you lower the hips, the butt can graze the floor, and then you lift back up. Now, the most important thing in terms of this is to keep your feet flat on the floor and to make sure that your ankles and your knees line up straight. So don't let your toes come up off the floor, which they might want to. If your hamstrings and your butt are really weak, you're going to want to lift up your toes, and you want to keep the toes down because that helps activate the back of the leg. Okay, so now you've done 3 of those. Now I'm going to have you do a little bit of moving around here. So the first thing that I'm going to have you do is to lift up your left leg. Lift it up high. Now what I want you to do is let your left leg, keep it straight, let your left leg drop towards the floor. The left heel is going to tap the floor gently, and then you're going to lift back up. You're going to lower back down. You're going to lift back up 3 times. And then let's do the other side. Just put the left foot back on the floor, extend the right leg out. Same thing. It will be harder. If you're right-handed, it will be harder to stabilize yourself with your left leg, but you're going to tap the left heel 3 times down. And then put both feet back on the floor. Now you're going to extend the left arm out to the side. Last thing. And you're going to reach the left hand up. With the left shoulder comes with the left hand comes the left shoulder, and you're going to reach across to the right side of your body, over on the right side beyond your right shoulder, and touch the floor with your fingertips, and then rotate the body back into the starting position again. And then do that a second and a third time as well. Repeat on the other side. Now the right hand comes up off the floor, touches the floor over on the left side of the body 3 times. Let's go back through that one more time. So your 3 hip dips. Your hands are just on the floor beside your body. You're keeping your toes down. You lower down, you lift up. Inhale down, exhale up 3 times. Then straighten the left leg. And lift up and lower down 3 times. Same with the right side. The left leg stays stable. It's going to be harder with the right leg lifted up and lowering down, but you can do it 3 times. And then try the hip bridge reach, which is the last of the 3, where you take the left hand, reach across the body, whole torso twists a little bit, rotational movement of the trunk, and you tap the floor with your fingertips on the far side of your body. 3 with the right hand, 3 with the left hand. Okay, the last one is the tabletop position, and I'm just going to do 2 moves in this one because this is a hard position to maintain even for fit people. But I do want you to be used to this position for 2 reasons. Number 1, just getting in the position feels like a contortion. It feels like it's too much, and it might be too much for you at the moment. But if you sit now and sit all the way up from the hip bridge and straighten your legs out in front of you, but then bend your knees and put your feet on the floor far away from you, kind of as far away from you as possible, but your feet do need to be flat on the floor. And then put your hands on the floor beside your butt with your fingers facing forward. Now, when you lift up into downward dog, into tabletop, you're going to hoist your body, you lift your butt up into the air so that your tabletop is your tummy and your thighs. There should not be a bend at your hip, even though there might be a slight one. So just do that 3 times. Lower down, lift up 3 times. That's the first of the moves. The last one is to get into the tabletop position and then lift up the left leg and kick 3 times. And then lift up the right leg and kick 3 times. So the tabletop kick, we also call it a crab kick because this position is known as well as the crab. And people do crab walks. You can do tricep dips here. So many fun things. There's a folding tabletop that I love and is also one of the 5 Tibetans, ironically. So is the dynamic dog. See how I've worked those in? People that know me and frequent podcast listeners know that I'm a huge fan of the 5 Tibetans, and I cannot place enough importance on the fact that getting up and doing something every day. And I don't get like a really big sweat on when I do these moves, but I get it done, and that's it. I don't have a devotion. I don't feel the need or sense of guilt over not going to the gym or big workouts. Of course, I'm in the business, so I'm a bit biased, and I can't really be regarded as a sample of what to do for people that are not working out with clients every day or running with people. But it is a life changer in terms of getting up and feeling energized about the way that you start your day. Rolling out of bed and going straight to your shower so that you can get to your office I know that's what you do, and you need to stop it. You need to incorporate a 15-minute slightly earlier time to wake up so that you can adopt these really simple habits and make the sustainable changes that are going to help your body live longer and feel better every single day. Have a great one. I will see you again soon. I'm Coach Kim from In Shape Fitness.